Welcome to Marketing in Your Car, the podcast for funnel hackers everywhere. You are now part of a small group of underground entrepreneurs who are trying to change the world through the products and the services that we believe in. But because we don't rely on venture capitalists, we don't have financial safety nets. So we have to do things differently. We have to do things smarter. We do that through an art and a science that we call funnel hacking. Now, this podcast will give you a glimpse at the daily life of a funnel hacker. So let's get started.
Good morning, everybody. Guess what today is? Today is moving day. I am so excited. Today is the day we are finally moving into our new office, which probably if you guys are like, who cares, Russell? It's not a big deal. But this is a big deal for a lot of reasons. Number one, we're moving to a new office. And anytime there's change, like a pattern interrupt of your day, it's like a good opportunity and good chance just to radically shift everything about yourself. And so like I'm excited because this is like a new beginning. It's like a new birth. It's like I don't even know, but it's pretty cool. So number one. Number two, I've had a lot of offices in my day since we started this whole internet marketing game, and all of them have been rented from people. This office I bought, so I own it. Well, not yet. I guess I got like 1,000 more payments, but someday I'll own it. But what's cool about it is it's our own, and then we bought this building, and then it was horrible inside, so we gutted the whole thing out and rebuilt it to be exactly what we want and how we want it. And so like, I'm sure you guys will see if you guys follow me on Facebook or anywhere else. We'll do some videos and kind of showing the whole thing, but it's so cool. Like on the outside, we got a big old sign that says ClickFunnels. The inside you walk in, the sign's not there yet, but the sign should be there by tomorrow, I think. Big old sign that says ClickFunnels, and then there's the TV that like when we're doing events and stuff, we have like videos or audios like looping like what's happening. And then on the right hand side you walk in, there's this huge seminar room that'll hold up to I mean we could have about 100 people in there, but comfortably it's about 70 or so people that it's set up for. And it's big, and basically we're gonna be able to do workshops there. And so we were trying to do, actually, so let me step back. I'm driving right now to downtown Boise because we got a certified partner event. So I'm gonna be hanging out with 40 or 50 of our certified partners today while everybody else is moving stuff. And so our goal was to get it done like last weekend so we could do the first certified partner event in there, but we didn't quite make it. I guess technically could have, but it would have been weird today because everyone would have been moving, and then they would have all been there, and it would have been just, you know, when you first move in your house, you don't want guests coming right away because like you don't even know where you're gonna sleep yet. So that's kind of how it is. And so anyway, but next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have our first ever FAT event. And FAT is F-H-A-T, stands for Funnel Hackathon. So Funnel Hackathon, I think I mentioned this before, but it's this new, I'm really excited. It's a new type of event we're going to try to do in our office. And if it works good, we'll probably do them throughout the year and start bringing people to them. But I'm doing a test run with our Inner Circle members. So that's happening next week. So we're getting everything set up and ready and prepared for the first ever FAT event, which is exciting. But yeah, so that's gonna be happening at the workshop room in there. And then we've got like a big old kitchen. I think the kitchen can hold like 38, I think it was 38 chairs I counted. 38 people can eat at the same time, which is crazy. I guess it's a lot for the normal days, but I guess when we have events there, it's probably a little more. People can eat in the conference room as well. So we got places for people to eat, which is cool. Also, we always rent these kitchens and stuff to like film different products. Like we did a Wake Shake video. We'd rent this person's kitchen. We've done other ones. So I wanted a kitchen that was nice if we could actually film in it. So we got a nice backdrop, nice countertop. Like so it's set up where you can actually film in it. Like that's one of the cool things about this office. Our old office, if you guys ever saw it on videos, it's totally embarrassing. It was like so trashy and like, yeah, it's like, and I'm not like the cleanest person ever, especially when I'm in that zone, like working and creating, like I got stuff everywhere. And so, anyway, but it always looked ugly, like it's kind of embarrassing, and there was nowhere to film video, so I had to go somewhere. Where in the new office, we've got probably like, I don't know, 15 or 20 spots that we've created specifically like to look cool, to be awesome on video, which is gonna be really, really cool. So you should see a lot more new cool video stuff coming from us, and when we're streaming stuff, it won't look as lame, it'll actually look awesome. So I'm excited for that on top of everything else. And so cool. We have our own little recording studio. It's gonna have like all like soundproofing, that egg foam stuff, so that like there's no echoes or reverb, so you can record webinars or audiobooks or whatever in there, podcasts, which is gonna be really, really cool. I don't know, just tons of cool stuff's happening. So as you can tell, I'm very excited for today, and the move is happening. But first I gotta get downtown Boise through all this traffic and go give a presentation to our certified partners. They can come back and have some fun. Also, the new office has got a lot of bookshelf space, but not as much as the old office. So some of you guys knew this. If you watched me on Snapchat, it was kind of a sad day in my life, but we went through and threw away hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of marketing courses, things that were no longer really relevant, or I knew I'd never listened to, or things like that. And so because I threw away most of my courses, and I put the courses that are still relevant, we burned them all onto audiobook files. So now they're all on my phone and my laptop and my everywhere else, but they're no longer on the bookshelf. So now it's just gonna be books there. So today we're bringing all the books over. I'm gonna organize all those, get them up on the wall, and hopefully there'll be some room for new books, because I love books. Books are the coolest. And speaking of books, Saturday, I finished it. I finished the last edit, the last everything. I sent it to, I printed out 5 or 6 physical copies of the book, handed them out to 5 of my friends, one for me. And they're all doing a really quick read through to see any last misspellings or typos or anything. But after that, it's done. And it was the weirdest thing. So Saturday I went in and I spent about 2 hours kind of doing the last thing, making sure everything was in there, making sure all the images were correct, making sure all that kind of stuff. And I remember when I got done, and I was like, I'm done. I think I Snapchatted, I was like, I'm done. But it was the weird, I literally felt like I had this 300-pound kid sitting on my shoulders, and then he fell off. And I was like, I feel so light. It was really interesting. I felt so light and fluffy and good, and so it's nice to have that the big old gorilla off my back, because that's been one of those things that needed to be done. In fact, my initial due date from the publisher was December 1st, and then I missed that date. And then it was December 31st, I missed that date. And then it was we had to move our launch date. So we moved our launch date for the book to April 18th. And it was basically okay, if you don't get this book launched, or if you don't have to do this by the end of January, it's physically impossible to have it done by your launch date. So I was like, okay. So that's where we're at. So the last 2 months was a nightmare, but now it's done. And books, I don't know if you've ever written a book, it's so much more permanent. I can, I'm not, what's the right word? I was gonna say cheat my way through, but so I can freestyle my way through PowerPoint slides and presentations and sales video, all those other things. They don't have to be perfect or finite. I've done them enough that I don't need them to be perfect, but a book has to be perfect, because they don't have you being able to cover up the mistakes through a good story or through whatever, right? It is what it is. It's a standalone. You can't touch it when it's done. So there you go. But I'm excited. This book's gonna be so cool. All right. So with that said, so I'm driving down to Certified Partners event. So I thought a good thing to talk about today would be the other side of the funnel business. So I know we talk a lot about our own funnels and how you're one funnel away and that part of it. But I thought it'd be fun to talk about what our certified partners talk about. And if you're not a certified partner yet, but you'd like to be, you should become one. I think everybody, whether you want to sell funnels or not, should go through the certified partner training. It'll help you become a better funnel builder. It'll help you for yourself. It'll help you for if you did have clients, whatever that is. But I think it's good. So if you're interested in going through, go to cfcertified.com. So CF, ClickFunnels, cfcertified.com. And there's a webinar there where I kind of explain how the whole thing works. But I just think everybody should go through it. It's worth it. So the group they're coming in today. So the way it works is you sign up for it, and it's I think it's 12 modules, but you have to complete the first 8 before you're able to come to the certification events. So the certification events we do every quarter, and they're here in Boise. So everyone who's got the first 8 modules done are allowed to come to it. And certified event, we actually bring in a bunch of business owners, and you have a chance to go and build funnels for them. And then there's a contest at the end, and whoever builds the best funnel wins a prize, and it's really, really cool. But it kind of gets you the ability to do the whole thing from a client, right? Which is taking the intake and finding what they want, and then from there figuring out the strategy, and then from the strategy figuring out how to build it, and going through the whole process. And we typically make people stay up all night. It's an all-nighter type thing where people work hard and to get these funnels done, and it just trains you and teaches you how to actually get the project done, which is cool. But it's interesting that even if you're not doing these for other clients, you're doing them for yourself, like the process is still the same. A lot of people, like, they start the funnel by jumping to ClickFunnels and start building, which is cool, but there's stuff you got to be thinking through ahead of time that if you work with the client, you'd be thinking like, okay, what's the goals, what's the strategy, like here's like all the different funnel types we have, what should I do, what should I not do, like what are, and it gives you a chance to really think through it at a different level. And so it's kind of cool, but it's been fun watching our certified partners. Like, some of these guys are making crazy amounts of money, and it's interesting when it comes down to what you're doing is you're taking a business owner off the street, right? And this business in the past probably has a website. They've probably got like all these things they've been doing that none of them are making them actually any money. And you're saying, look, the old things you have don't work. Like there's a new way, a better way to do it. And it's through this process of what we call a funnel. And if you think about funnels, like this was so interesting to me is most businesses have a funnel. Like I was yesterday at church, I was talking to a guy who just moved in. He's a chiropractor, and he was asking me about what I do in funnels, and he's like, so it's kind of like a website. I'm like, well, I get that's like, if I'm like a basketball player, like, oh, so you're kind of like Michael Jordan. Like, well, technically he's a lot better than me, but yeah, I'll take that, I guess. So I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like a website, but it's like it's a process we take someone through. Like a website's just like dead thing that's just kind of like bleh. I'm like, how much money did your website make you guys last year? Like, we don't know. I'm like, exactly. Nobody knows because it doesn't do anything. You guys think it's useful and it's not. It's just, but I'm like, if you shift it a little bit, you shift your thinking and you're like, look, websites are dead. This is the new future. The new opportunity is these things called funnels. And then you start looking at like, and in fact, this is like what I do with any client I'm working with. It's like an offline, especially like offline clients. Like, okay, well, what's the funnel you take people through right now? They're like, well, I don't know what that means. I'm like, okay, how do you get clients right now? And they're like, okay, well, first thing I do is I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And so like I'll draw out like a picture of a funnel. I'm like, oh, that's what you did. Okay, so we know that model works, and I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel. Like, how do we replicate that? Okay, if you're doing this, this, and this, how do we replicate that online? Like, let's look at that because the funnel you have is working now, right? My chiropractic buddy, like when he first started, when he started his practice, he struggled forever to get leads, and then like the first thing I think that really took off for him is he put a what do they call them, fish bowls in like a restaurant. It was like people put their business cards in to win a free lunch, and he'd call them up, and then he's like, congratulations, you won a free lunch to everybody who dropped a card in, right? And like the way it works is I get to come to your office for free. I'll bring lunch, but I get to give you a 30-minute presentation. And then he show up to lunch, feed everybody, give him a 30-minute presentation, do a pitch, close a bunch of people, and rinse and repeat. That was his funnel that he was bringing people in. And it's like, hey, that works. Like, okay, so that now we know that model works. How do we replicate that online? Okay, well, you need to get lunch appointments for people locally that you can give them free lunch and whatever. So let's make that same offer. Let's make a fishbowl funnel, right? Where it's like, hey, put your name and email address in here, and you can win a chance to get me to bring lunch. And then go buy Facebook ads to that fishbowl funnel, get their contact, call them up, and be like, congratulations, you won. And then go do the same thing, right? Like it's people keep thinking it's like this magic trick. It's not. It's just looking at the customer process. I've talked about this before with you guys. I don't know if it was like episode 1 or 250, so I apologize. They kind of blur together. But I remember reading the book The E-Myth the first time. He was talking about how every business has a system, and if you don't have a system, it means you do, but it's just a really bad system probably, right? And he was talking about how, like, what's the system for a retail business when a customer comes in through the door? Like, what do they say? What do they say first? What do they say second? And like looking at that process. I remember reading that book 10 years ago and thinking about the stores I go into and like, how am I being, like, what's the funnel people are taking me through when I walk into a store? And it's funny, like my favorite store to this day is GNC, but I rarely go, even though I see a GNC, like I'll like avoid it like the plague because I know that their system sucks when people walk in. Like I walk in, the first thing's like, hey, what can I help you with? And I'm like, duh, I just walked in, I want to look at the bottles and read the back. And they always ask me that, and so I always say what everybody says, like, oh no, thanks, I'm just looking. And then they, and it's like, and then it ruins that first interaction. And it's like having a sales funnel where like the headline is like, hey, what can I help you with today? And you're like, I don't know, I just landed on your landing page, like I don't know, I'm gonna leave, you're freaking me out. And then they leave, right? Like that's the equivalent of it. And so it's like, okay, well, how do we make this process right? Okay, like, well, if I was a GNC dude, I'd come in and be like, hey, welcome to GNC, looks like you're looking for some cool supplements. Have you tried the new whatever power bars? I can give you a free sample if you want to try them because they are freaking amazing. And I'd be like, heck yeah, man, I'll try a power bar. I'd eat it. I'm like, dude, that is amazing. Like, what's the secret? It's like, oh, well, there's this kind of protein instead of this, and this is the big thing behind it. I'm like, and then I'm like, so are you looking for proteins, or what kind of supplements are you typically looking for? And then boom, he's opened up his question. So first off, he built rapport. Second off, he opened up a question. And I'd be like, well, man, like I like all sorts of supplements. He's like, sweet, let's get a card out, let's make a shopping list. And I'd be like, all right. And then I'd spend like $800 with him. Instead of the opposite way, I'm like, oh, I'm just looking. And then I'm awkwardly like looking around, and you can tell they're like looking at you like every time you're looking at something. Hey, so do you have any questions about supplements? Like, no, I'm just looking. And then like walk to the next section. Oh, do you have any questions about those? Like, no, I'll kill you. Like that's what normally happens when I go to GNC, right? And so like if I was a consultant for GNC, like I'd be looking at that funnel, that process, every single interaction, like what's weird, what's not weird, what's awesome, you know, I'd be looking at all those kind of things, and then figure out how to tweak it and make it so that it was smoother. And same thing is true with like websites and funnels. Like for like 5 years I used to do all the Glazer Kennedy website reviews, and I go to someone's website, and every single time it was like this brick wall where it's like, can I help you with that? I'm like, and there'd be 8,000 links on their page. I'm like, okay, guys, like I've been reviewing these things for 5 years. How are all your pages still horrific? Like when someone comes to your page, like that's why we have a headline. And like, what am I going to say in my headline that gets them to want to give me their email out? You're like, you got to think through the process. Like that's the key. It's not, okay, I'm going to use a book funnel for this one. I'm going to use a blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, think through the process. Like if you were coming here for the first time, what would be the path? Like what would they say to you that would not shut you down but would open you up? And that's what I'm thinking. Like when I build my own funnels, that's all I'm thinking about. Someone's coming here, like what's happening? Like where am I feeling resistance? Where am I feeling good? What's creating curiosity so I want to proceed through this process? What's like giving me too much so I want to step back? Where am I being annoying? Where am I helping? You know, like that's what I'm looking at when I'm building a funnel. And like that's what you should be doing if you're working for other people, is looking at that process, and that's what you're thinking through. And if it's for yourself, it's the same thing. I had a friend that said that every month you should secret shop yourself, and I haven't really done that, but I think it's smart. Like secret shop yourself and see what resistance people that you're hitting into. In fact, Dean Graciosi, I think it was, told me that when he had his big seminar business, they were doing like $200 million a year. He hired a bunch of people whose full-time job was just to go and consume everything. So they went to the live event, they signed up, they went to the next thing, and then they just do the whole thing and spend all the money to go through everything in the process, and then come back and be like, what things were awesome, what things were horrible. And he said what he found that from secret shopping himself was that when people sign up for the event, they're all excited, and then they didn't hear from people on average about 6 days after the event. He said that was what bothered him, is like it took 6 days to hear back, and like, wow, we need to get back to people immediately. So they shifted the whole business to where as soon as someone signed up for the event, the next day they got an email, and when they did that, their cancellation rate dropped in like half, like crazy. And so it's like coming back to the process. Like the funnel is just the process, right? The system that you're taking somebody through. And the magic of online funnels is the fact that we can perfect that. With offline funnels, you got to train the sales dude. You got to train the person at every single store and every single GNC to not be an idiot and ask a good question instead of a bad question. And then when they want to slip back to their bad questions, it's hard. Like it's hard, right? But the cool thing about the funnel is that you can tweak that and perfect it, and then everybody comes to the same path. And what's cool, like just think about GNC. If they were to go to every one of their stores around the whole country and make that one shift, like what would that do for their revenue? I mean, if they were able to instantly get every single person to follow the same script, I mean, I would not be shocked if it doubled their revenue. That may seem like crazy, but let's just like, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's that hard. But the hard part is getting 10,000 reps to actually do it, and to do it right and do it correctly. Like that's the opportunity that they've got to figure out, which is not that easy. Whereas with a funnel, like there's one point that everybody's coming through. Therefore, you tweak it in one spot and it works across everything. And it's not hard to double a company's business when you fix that piece. And that's the opportunity, guys. That's what Certified Partner Program's all about. That's what these funnels are all about for yourself or for other people. Like, is that you're just perfecting the message at each step along the funnel. And when you do that, it's like what they can say, like the small hinges that swing big doors, or the butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it. Like those little tiny tweaks can have dramatic impacts on everything else you do inside your business. So I think it's pretty exciting. I geek out on this stuff, as you can probably tell, but it's just all about thinking through it. Like, how would you feel if you're going through this process? Where would your resistance come from? What would you be excited by? And the more you think about that, and then watch as other people go through, and then watch what they're doing and make the tweaks and the changes based on that, the more success you'll have in your funnels. So hope that helps everybody. I'm almost a certified partner event, so if you're there today, I'll see you guys. If you're not there yet, it means it's time to get certified. You or someone on your team should be certified. Everybody should have one in their office. So go to cfcertified.com, go get certified, and I will see you guys here in a little bit. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the behind-the-scenes look at our funnel hacking projects. You can also watch the Funnel Hacker online reality show and watch us build and launch funnels live at www.funnelhacker.tv. If you'd like to come hang out with your fellow funnel hackers, come join our Facebook group at www.projectclickfunnels.com. Oh yeah, and don't forget, you can get a free MP3 player with the first 257 episodes preloaded at marketinginyourcar.com. Join us next time, and remember, you're just one funnel away from your dreams.